Hello, welcome back. Thank you as always for joining me here today. We're going to continue a recent thread of conversation about the Holy Spirit. And in particular, today, we're going to focus on what is a large, and I do mean large part of our work here on this thing that we refer to as the spiritual path, your walk, or whatever you want to call it. And this is our learning moment to moment to relax and trust, to relax and trust the guidance of our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit. If you've watched videos here on this series of videos, which actually numbers well over 1,000 now. So there's a lot of material. You may have heard me talk here about the importance of learning to relax and trust the guidance of our inner teacher. It's so important. And a bit of recap here. The Holy Spirit, this thing, I mean, really, not a man, it's not a woman, that we refer to as the Holy Spirit, is known by many names. Even right here in A Course in Miracles, where it's known as the voice for God, the mediator, capitals, everything in caps, friend, comforter, and many others. Even right here in the Course, it's known by many names. I frequently refer to it as our inner teacher with a very strong and deliberate emphasis on inner. Why? Because the Holy Spirit is part of you, not outside you. The Holy Spirit is not outside you, it is rather part of our mind. And we're invited to appeal to its guidance, to ask for its guidance, to take our inner teacher as our only teacher, which we find here in the world as we get caught up in all of our drama and, well, our drama. There are plenty of other ways that you could describe it, but as we get swept away by the torrent of what we've taken to be our lives, we need to repeat these ideas over and over again because we get lost and we need to find ourselves again, in a manner of speaking. Which is why it's so important what you're taking the time out of your day or evening or middle of the night to do right now. Listen to the message of our inner teacher. It's so important because we need it. We do. So the Holy Spirit's part of our mind. Should you choose to relax and trust its guidance, you'll be shown everything. You'll be shown what to do in the world, what to say, exactly what to say, by the way, and to whom, and in what measure, and in what manner, and what tone, in what demeanor. If you're called or instructed or invited to go someplace, you'll know where and when, if anywhere. You may simply be instructed to just sit where you are and forgive the world and forgive yourself for dreaming it. Don't forget that. So, whatever the guidance is, we're taught here in the Course. The Course says this in many different ways and in many different places that we have a function to fulfill while we appear to be here. And forgiveness is that function. It's an essential part that we play in God's plan for salvation. Now, because it's God's plan, it cannot fail. We can certainly cause ourselves unnecessary delays, which we've been doing a lot, or this conversation would never, ever be necessary. No, we've gotten in our own way, and perhaps you recognize that you're doing it right now. Yeah. And we do it habitually, which is why spiritual practice in any tradition can rightly be looked at as an unlearning. I mean, we're learning, but we're unlearning, we're changing our habits completely. This is a course in mind training, and we have a role, a very, very important role to fulfill in this overall plan. Our function: extend love, forgive, forgive. As we do it, we bring the light. When we fully accept our function, and when we fully accept it and make a decision that that's what we're going to do, and indeed all we're going to focus on, we're guaranteed that the Holy Spirit is going to take care of the rest. We focus solely on our part. The Holy Spirit takes care of the rest. If you need some inspiration on this, the very last paragraph of chapter 20, section 4. It's beautiful reading, and it's highly recommended reading, and highly recommended repeat reading, and then repeat reading. Yeah, you see where we're going with that. It is. It's highly inspirational and well worth your time. When we accept our part in God's plan for salvation and focus solely on that, the Holy Spirit does the rest. The text uses an image of a path with the way straight and clear, and all of the stones and obstacles removed from it. How are they removed? Don't worry about that. The Holy Spirit does that. Nothing that we need will be denied us because the Holy Spirit knows what we need. Most definitely. Remember, it's part of our mind. So our inner teacher knows, and nothing will be denied us. We simply focus on our part, and everything else happens. It doesn't mean necessarily that we coast along and it's a beautiful slide, completely devoid of forgiveness opportunities. No, no, not at all. There'll be multiple forgiveness opportunities. Count on that. Yeah. We'll be shown those, and we'll be told what to do in each and every situation. It's guaranteed. Now, you may very well, of course, be called or instructed to do specific things here in the world, in the dream. You will know what those are because along the way we learn to recognize the clarity of the voice for God, the clarity of our inner teacher. Now, this most certainly does come with practice, with dedication and commitment to practice. You may not want to do that, but deep down, of course, we all do, or we wouldn't be here. So, the voice of resistance is always the ego. And with this concept of learning to let go and relax and trust our inner teacher's guidance, trusting that the way is going to be smooth and pothole free, or if there is, in fact, a pothole, you'll be directed around it well before it arises. Count on that. The stones will be removed the way straight, bright, clear, and obvious. Now, we focus on our part, the Holy Spirit takes care of the rest. So, what's the problem, we think, with that? Well, we're unwilling to do it. This idea of fully and completely following the Holy Spirit's guidance, fully and completely learning to relax and trust our inner teacher's guidance is something that's deeply threatening to us and causes us great anxiety. You may be experiencing it right now, and if you've been a course student for a while, you've experienced it plenty of times before. Even if you're not a course student, you're still experiencing it many, many times over. If you wondered what it is, that it's this. All resistance is of the ego, and we discover, and maybe to our great dismay, that we have a tremendous resistance to truth. Mm. As much as we would like that to not be the case, we do, and we have to look at it as it arises, because this idea of learning to relax and trust the guidance of our inner teacher and trust and know, just know that you'll be instructed exactly what to do here in the dream, in the world. This engenders tremendous resistance, doesn't it? Because we're so conditioned to have to control. You may not consider yourself a control freak. We all are in this sense. We really are. I mean, we can look at some people and we clearly see that they expend a tremendous amount of energy, wasted energy, attempting to control other people and other circumstances and things that they would be better off just letting go of. When we see that and we think, okay, that person's a control freak. Well, we're all control freaks in this sense. We're conditioned to have to struggle here in the world. We're conditioned to have to look out for ourselves only. It's ego conditioning, of course. Look out for number one. And we think that we have to manipulate and control all reality. No wonder we get stressed out. It's a lot less stressful to learn this practice of relaxing and trusting the guidance of our inner teacher. You fulfill your part here, and the Holy Spirit does the rest. You will be told, you will be instructed as to what to do. And learning to relax and trust this guidance requires repetition. It does. It's why pixelated image on your screen here keeps saying it. It's so, so important. And we find it so hard. So you might rightly ask, and these are always good questions, what's in it for me? That only seems cynical in certain contexts, but here on the spiritual path, it's really a great question, isn't it? What's in it for you is the peace of God, awakening, certainty. We appear to live in a world rife with uncertainty. God's plan for salvation is certain. It rests on certainty, not on contingency. In other words, it does not rest on possible outcomes here in the world. And if somebody says this or does this, then we're going to be happy. But if they say this, then it's going to destroy our equilibrium. Or if so and so candidate wins an election, we're going to magically be happy. Fantastic, right? Or if they lose, we're going to be plunged into a deep existential crisis full of dread. Well, we don't have to go there with ourselves. We don't have to go there with ourselves. We could choose otherwise. We could choose the guidance of our inner teacher and to learn to relax and trust it. It is certain. It does not rest on possible outcomes here in the world. There is no world. Central teaching of A Course in Miracles. And by the way, where that is written, the sentence, there is no world, is punctuated with an exclamation point. What this means is we're perfectly at home in God, where we've always been, and we have indeed never left. We've never left our source, capital S. So here, while we experience the extraordinary resistance of the ego, we discover that it's thick in our minds, and we must forgive, 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 and rinse, repeat. That's why spirituality can rightly be called a practice and a process because it appears to take time. I mean, you may find yourself from time to time getting really, really impatient, like you want to be awakened yesterday. It'd be really great, or day before, right now, right? Well, we've got to learn to fully relax and trust the guidance of our inner teacher and fully and totally 100% forgive and learn all of our forgiveness lessons. What will those be? Well, you'll be shown all of them, and you may count on that. They take many outward forms. Anything that's not wholly joyous in your experience is an opportunity for forgiveness. So we are not bereft of opportunities at all. What's in it for you when you relax and trust? Well, you may find after you genuinely and legitimately do it, and only you'll know, in all honesty, if you're genuinely and legitimately doing it. Occasional lip service is okay, great. It's not practice. And if you only do this once a year, you can expect that what appears to be progress is going to be much slower than if you did it many, many times every day. Every time you remember, in fact, to do it. So we need this repetition. And if it feels like this is going to take a long, long time, well, yeah, we don't know. Who knows when enlightenment is going to happen? We don't know when awakening is going to occur. All we're in charge of is what's right in front of us. Let the Holy Spirit be in charge of the rest because he knows what's going on. We don't have a clue. And the more that you practice this letting go of your need to manipulate and control, letting go of the anxiety engendered by relaxing and trusting and forgiving it every time you recognize it. In this practice, you may discover with time that you're much calmer. You may discover that you're a more loving person, that you're kinder, more forgiving, that you laugh more often, that you find yourself experiencing spontaneous happiness and joy with greater frequency. And you may also find that things that used to bother you or destroy your peace of mind don't affect you at all anymore, or even if they still do, they don't affect you as much to the same degree. These are very, very good ways to look at our lives, at our experience, and see that these ideas work. How will we know? Well, we have to do it. Merely intellectually studying this course has some value, but not as much, nowhere near as much value as actually putting these ideas into practice. You may feel like you don't need to hear that repeated, but we all do as adult learners. We need to hear the teachings of Jesus here in the Course. We need to hear this over and over and over again until we begin to form a new habit of forgiveness rather than blame, until we learn to catch ourselves getting in our own way by attempting to order and manipulate and control all compound phenomena, which is a dream, including this. That's a dream. Yep. Which we all deep down know. And we don't have to recognize it. We can continue to get in our own way, but we create needless delay in the process. So, my hope is that this is helpful to you. It's so, so important to do this, to learn to relax and trust the guidance of the Holy Spirit. And you'll be shown exactly what to do. And the more you practice it, you can rest in confidence that the way will be smooth. And if there are potholes still there, you'll see them well in advance and you'll navigate around them. So, questions on this or any subject related to spirituality or A Course in Miracles are most welcome. So if you have particular questions, please go ahead and leave them here. Even if you just want to pop in and say hello, please feel welcome to do that. I'd love to hear from you here in the comment thread. And if you have not subscribed, prompt is right here in the corner of your screen. So go ahead and click that. You'll be invited to join us. And well, there are many videos that appear weekly here because spirituality gives us a lot to talk about. Oh gosh, that's an understatement, isn't it? All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me.